And you're here for what?
I'm on the Carter use permit.
Gotcha, okay. All right, have people had a chance to look at the minutes? Any changes, corrections? Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, chairman's remarks, I don't have a lot. I do have a conflict on Mr. Carter's, because I did some work for him for a beam on his building over there on the site we're working at, so I feel like he's a client I really shouldn't talk.
So will we have a forum?
I don't know, we have six, right? Yeah, right. All right. So that's one I will have to abstain on anyhow. And beyond that, I don't think I've got any other comments. You're gonna be talking about your strategic plan stuff. I'm talking about that. I've been invited to, it's a 100 good yard. Whenever we get it. All yours.
So we had our first community meeting last night in Marathon. And as everybody here, you guys emailed out to the board, the invitation for all the community meetings. So, Marathon actually went pretty well.
Good.
There were probably, I think like 18, there were probably like 20, mid-20s for people that kind of came around. They were having the food pantry, at the Civic Center right before the meeting. So it was really great. Some other people got to come over and, give some comments and feedback. So the format of the meetings is basically like a quick introduction to the plan and kind of who some of the people were there. And then we have 10 different boards up around the room. And people could kind of add their ideas and their suggestions and kind of engage with the boards and kind of read some of the information. And they have sticky notes, and we ask for people to leave sticky notes. And after our community meetings, I'd also like to put on like, we'll put it officially on the agenda to participate in a similar activity this year. So we'll evaluate what's on our schedule for that month, kind of what we get in. Hopefully, you know, if it would be a lighter month, that would be great. So
Later on, better.
yeah, right. So, so at any rate, I want to put that on your radar and we can continue to have this conversation. So we're really just kickstarting the feedback time period, getting as much as the feedback. And this is going to be continuing through the summer. So, so yeah, but that way, even if you guys are not able to attend one, but I very, very much encourage all of you to try to at least attend a meeting in your area. Then we can kind of have a similar exercise and have some discussion here about the plan.
Tricia, I probably will have a zoning board meeting the time that what was planned for us in Preble.
Yeah.
I might not have an agenda, but if we do, then I won't be there. So I thought I would attend the one at Bowdre Park just to hear what's going on.
Perfect.
And then I might be able to attend the other one for maybe a half hour or something.
And that's why we wanted to have that format. So feel free to attend any of them.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be in your area. Come to whatever one you can. And I think that one, we learned a few lessons from last night's meeting. And it was that it's really important. We're trying to educate, to let people know that this isn't a Portland County government plan. Like this is a plan for Marathon, for Preble, for the city. This plan covers the whole county. So, you know, so we really want to stress that to people. This is really for everyone to have and refer back to and to use. So.
That's it?
So yeah, we're in the
Okay.
run to that. Gina's still working on some NYSERDA programs for the energy.
Can you skip two retirement things since
That
that's.
meeting last night, was that in conjunction with a town board meeting or?
No, we tried to thread the needle of like
Right.
in between planning board, town board and ZBA meetings. We tried as best we could for those locations.
So you had that good of a turnout and it wasn't in conjunction with another meeting?
No,
That's good, okay.
no.
Okay, would you like to skip the cars since there's somebody here for that?
Yeah, and Chief Everett wanted to come from.
He wants to be here for that?
Well, for the other one that's scheduled first.
Oh, good. We'll this was Jenny off. He's, all right.
So that's that. Hey, Kim, can you hear us okay? So let us know if you need us to share the agenda, if you need us to share it on our screen, or if you have it pulled up on your own. Okay. Shoot. I just gotta pull it here.
Okay, so this is town of Cortlandville, an application for a use variance and conditional permit, doesn't say on the top line, but it should say that. Applicant wants to use, is currently using and wants to continue using this parcel as a vehicle parking area and log storage area for their business. The lot size is 6.43 acres. They're proposing to use a small part of that lot, less than 1 acre. Existing zoning is R2 residential. The applicant seeking to continue using a parcel to store vehicles and logs associated with their business. Applicant has indicated that no vehicle repair, bulk fuel storage, or other material storage would occur on this parcel. Parcel is located in a flood zone in a residential district that prohibits such use, and applicant has not previously obtained a variance for this. The remainder of the parcel is forested. The applicant has indicated that vehicle traffic to and from this site would continue to be during business hours from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. Cortlandville Code lists the purpose of an R2 district as to provide areas within the town to be used primarily for low-density single-family dwellings where municipal sewer and water facilities are available. It does not list vehicles and material storage as either permitted or conditionally permitted use. This proposed use would be non-conforming, therefore applicant is seeking use. Portland Code prohibits outside storage of vehicles, says no machinery, equipment, or motor vehicle commonly used in business. Applicant vehicles shall be parked or stored out of doors in the residential district. Applicant stores and seeks to continue storing business vehicles outdoors, therefore is seeking a use variance. And Portland Code says that permitted use is subject to site plan approval and conditional permit shall be as follows: construction companies and construction equipment, sales and service, applicant's business and the tree service may be considered a construction company. New York State town law for use variances has a 4-part test for whether hardship can be proven. It says no such use variance shall be granted without showing the applicant that applicable zoning regulations and restrictions have caused unnecessary hardship. The test is, number 1, the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return on the property. 2, the alleged hardship related to the property question is unique, does not apply to a substantial portion of the neighborhood. 3, it will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. 4, the alleged hardship has not been self-created. Types of acceptable evidence are listed on an attached sheet for this. Demonstrate hardship based on 1, applicant has indicated, as Cheryl has indicated on there, that there are no suitable available affordable parcels nearby. We don't have any evidence from that list for this. Demonstrate hardship based on number 2, unique property. Applicant has indicated this is the only one parcel in the residential district. There's already a commercial entity in this area. No evidence from that list has been submitted with this application. We demonstrate hardship based on number 3, that it will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Applicant indicates that this is one parcel on many and will not in any way change the essential character of the neighborhood as a residential district. Again, no particular evidence has been submitted to back that up. As to number 4, above the self-created hardship, applicant does indicate that the hardship is self-created. The town must determine whether the applicant has effectively proven unnecessary hardship as defined in New York State town law. If it is determined that unnecessary hardship has been effectively proven by the applicant, The town must consider the minimum variance that is necessary and adequate to address such hardship, but at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Part of the coordinated review committee, the New York State Department of Transportation, provided that at this point it does not have a record of a driveway permit application. Therefore, the applicant is required to apply for a change. According to New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, a stormwater pollution prevention permit would need to be gained if more than 1 acre of soil was exposed in a project. And applicant has said that the portion of the lot being used and intended to continue being used for vehicle storage is less than 1 acre. Therefore, applicant would not need a SWIP for this project. Finally, the proposal. Okay, finally, the proposal is considered under the action of the seeker, and applicant has completed part 1 of the environmental assessment form, and 2 and 3 would then be completed by the town to determine if there may be any significant adverse environmental impacts as a result. The staff recommends approval of this application before use variances and the conditional permit only under the following conditions: that the town determine whether the applicant has effectively proven unnecessary hardship as defined by New York State town law, and that it's determined that unnecessary hardship has been effectively proved by the applicant, but the town consider the minimum variance that is necessary and adequate to address such hardship, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. 3, that the applicant applies for and obtains a New York State Department of Transportation driveway permit and to compliance with the secret requirements.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
When and Paul.
I'm going to stay out of this one, so I will back off. If you have questions, go ahead and ask.
For sure, we're sending it back to the town and we're making clear that the town, are they the determinant as to establishing, yes, there is that hardship,
Yeah,
yes, there are?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And that's why, frankly, our role is not to determine that,
right. That's-
but it's to point out that the town.
They're closer, feet on the ground, they make that decision. Okay.
And to point out that evidence hasn't been submitted yet.
The what, what's on?
And to point out evidence hasn't been submitted yet.
I just have an issue with the recommendation being approval with conditions. My experience with boards, once they see approval, recommended approval from the county planning department, they feel like it's okay, we'll go with the rest of it. And you did a lot of work and thank you for all of that. I just don't like the term approval with the following conditions. It's a use variance, they should not be allowed, and it should be up to the Cortland bill to determine that, and if they feel the use variance is valid, then they can go through the rest of these conditions. I just have an issue with the wording because it just, yeah.
I suggested rewording.
I would like, I guess I would just like to say that you don't recommend approval if that's what you choose to do. And then if the town of Cortlandville recommends approval, that the following conditions have to be met, like the conditional permit and those kinds of things. But it's just easy for them to say, okay, county planning said we recommend approval, so I've just seen this happen before. And I know you put conditions there with certain conditions. It's an R1 district or R2 district. I don't know.
Yeah, what do we do? It's sort of like, no matter what, we're offering a negative and a positive in the same recommendation.
Well,
Is it just a language thing? Can we say the staff does not recommend approval unless?
of what I,
Can we just say, the staff does not recommend approval unless?
yeah, I would be fine.
conditions.
I would be happy with that, I guess. I just hate to see approved.
Yeah, right, the terminology.
It's terminology, and I've seen boards do this all the time. They read the top thing and say, oh, it takes the onus off the board to make that determination. That's my
Yes,
opinion.
who's the determinant?
Yeah, but it's just my opinion.
I have one point to make, and I'll leave it up to you guys. I think our only thing we do or make a recommendation for approval or with conditions or a recommendation for denial.
Yeah.
I thank you, Chuck, because we can't we approve it if it has to be an approval or denial. So this was like our best, The only thing I can say is that we're making such a concerted effort to communicate with the planning board.
I know.
How important those recommendations are and stress to them that those truly are the context. And it almost goes back to the, home rule, point of, there may be more to this that a local municipality would know about than we're able to.
Well, I would say, disapproval unless those 5 parts of the use variance, but I'm concerned about the conditional permit part of it.
The recommendation,
I'm saying they're gonna go out.
should we say the recommendation that should be considered contingencies? I don't know if that's allowed.
I don't know, I just,
Anyone but myself go out there and kind of take a look at this property?
Kind of like a junkyard.
I've got
I drive by it every day.
I have a whole batch of photos about this property, some from January, some that I took today. The applicant is talking about other businesses within that same area. I have pictures of those 2 businesses. When I grew up on that street, so I know exactly where this is,
Right.
exactly what's going on. And it's talking about, well, on page 2, it says surrounding zoning is R2, and it's residents on every single side of this property. It's in a flood zone. So I think that's one thing. I think he's comparing it to other properties that are in the area.
Right, the trucking place down there around the edges. The city of Cortland's been there for,
How long?
Van Don's been there, was there for 100 years.
That's right. I know of it for 50 years. And I think that if you saw a picture of it now versus 50 years ago, you would be amazed at how well it's been cleaned up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I used to.
And then you have a
work for it.
brand new building right across the street that is a newly developed piece of property, but it's a bathroom, it's a kitchen and bath building.
Right, right.
Very, very well kept. We're talking about, he's got 6.3 something acres, and he's saying he's only going to use 1 acre. So today when I was there, I noticed looking back into the property where he says it's a forest, he's already cutting down trees in that area. He's been using that property for the last, I don't know, since he purchased it for his kids to ride their mini bikes around. And today there's equipment back in there. So my feeling is he should be subdividing at least if he's going to ask for a variance, but that's the situation. On the code 17840-4, it says therefore applicant is seeking a conditional permit for this use. Wait, I'm sorry. Applicant business is a tree service, which may be considered a construction company. It may be not. Why should it fall if it's not for sure?
It's a service industry.
Service.
Yeah.
I'm concerned because it borders Perplexity Creek. Right now, on that edge of Perplexity Creek, he's got all the logs piled up. He's got equipment that are trucks and equipment and sitting right next to that area of Perplexity Creek. I'm going into this too much, I know it. But I also know that this is not the kind of, he went into this, he's saying he wants to continue to use it. He's been putting stuff there for 2.5 years,
Longer than that.
waiting.
Bruce Weber talked to him 6 years ago, first time.
was there a complaint? Is that what about this?
I know these people real well.
That, I believe that something probably brought.
Last round?
Yes, yeah, for John Barton brought it out.
So I think that if someone, I mean, how can someone go in and start doing something and then later ask for, oh, by the way, I want to continue doing it because I've been doing it for, it's not the way it should work. So,
Can I see your pictures?
can I work at them?
See, sometimes forgiveness is easier than asking, straightforward.
I totally understand your recommendations.
Please, sir.
I just see that word approval.
It's going to have to go through the Cortlandville ZBA and through the Cortlandville Planning Board. And our understanding of what our role is just to compare it to their local regulations and then leave that level of final determination.
They're the governing body.
Right.
Yeah,
And I just want to be careful about causing that.
Yeah.
I know, I understand
You
that.
know,
I feel like you-
Stay, sort of like stay in your lane.
Trees.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, because
Like,
we don't want
Right.
to do, it's not really under our purview.
No, and I understand.
And we shouldn't overstep, because that can grounds for,
And their ZBA can hear the public. that's the place, there's
Yeah.
ZBA, their planning board,
Right.
that's where any concerned public can come to them and say, you know, as a community
That
member.
would be a public hearing now.
Because if we deny a project, we have to give that list of reasons of why we deny a project and what our role.
And is it our say to do that? Right.
But there were things that weren't presented, right?
Yes, there were
Terms of
things that were
of
not
the experience. Yeah.
Other comments?
What is an unnecessary hardship? What is the real crux of that? Is that sport?
Here and there.
Yeah, there's four criteria down there.
Yeah,
But that's on them to prove to the town.
right.
And that's on the town to
It's all in
determine
there.
if they met one of those four things.
What is it? The hardships? Yeah. Sure.
Just for my own learning, is it one or all of them?
All you're gonna need is one of those?
Page 3.
To demonstrate. Oh, yeah.
Do people have comments, or do you want to make changes to the recommendation?
No, I guess, we'd love to, but again, I think we're supposed to stay in our lane.
That's fine, I just want to know if we're looking around, I just don't want to sit here for another 10 minutes thinking about it.
So you're gonna talk.
I understand.
I just, they have to meet, that's what
Yeah.
it's at the end. Yeah, so just to be clear, like, Quinn just brought up the point, that they have to meet all.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right. But then they have to prove that to the ZBA.
Not correct.
You can ask one question if you want to.
No, I just didn't know if he had anything that he wanted to add.
You can ask him.
Oh. Dan, did you have anything that you wanted to add, or?
No, I think most of it's been done. I mean, as Trick has said, I am concerned about the character impact on the neighborhood. Having dealt with certain part of the past couple of years. Everybody seems to want to ask for forgiveness before I ask for forgiveness. It's moved into he had parties until 3 in the morning. Now we got a big Cortland. He says he only wants to use 1 acre. Yep. Next thing I know, I've got a pile of wood in my backyard where it used to be, overgrown. I prefer it residential. We're going to allow him, and I expect him to put it in the building. Comply with the normal runoff requirement, food business requires it. I cannot see why that in itself. It goes into Perplexity Creek, goes into Yoga, it goes into Chesapeake Bay. Therefore, I would require a law enforcement, a short one. It's in an area right next to a elementary school. You know, you've got school buses going in that area. I don't see a heavy traffic with that. I think he's done pretty good about it. But the area does look like a pile of trash. He's got half the truck sitting there. He's got lumber tipped into the creek. And like I said, noise all the time. You know, I support business, absolutely support business. But we as a community, we should be allowed to be respected for our surroundings. You know, after the evening, I should not have to listen to a motorcycle, no muffler on, going round and round and round. So, and that's a personal one, not with his business.
Right.
But I can't unconnect the two because of what I've experienced over the past 10 years. I'll explain that to the ZBA, but that's I feel that, you know, if he was respectful and I could trust him, and I knew he was going to put a building in, and he was going to paint, he's got heavy construction for it. There's going to be a leak in oil. There's going to be repair and maintenance on that field. Say he's not going to repair and maintenance, the aerial trucks and stuff, that's nuts. So, I just feel that there isn't enough information here. And I don't feel I can trust him to stick to his word. So I'm sorry for pontificating, but, you know, some of that's opinionated. I apologize that I didn't put you in a bad spot.
No, thank you.
And that one more thing, I believe most of the businesses that are in that area, are not pre-existing non-conforming. I know even Gary's Automotive, which is now Garage Delaware, he went through the permitting process, but he was already in Garage. We talked about the transportation first. That was an absolute SHIT goal. So I brought it. I wasn't in favor of this non-conforming. It's a much better place and it is presentable. But again, it's right next to a Bowdre Park, it's right next to a high school baseball field, and a high school basketball court, which is used on the right over. If you use it for another purpose, I'd be happy. But, you know, keeping it clean is a big step in the right direction. But I don't agree with this preparing businesses. Again, most of those businesses are low noise, or volume noise, and don't have heavy traffic in them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or changes or anything else you want to address?
What about if you highlight, determine if unnecessary hardship? So
You're giving up on this, okay?
I understand their position, but
Yes. And, I mean, we can bold it.
yep,
Yeah, because when we send these resolutions to the municipalities that include these recommendations, it's generally just black and white, and they print them, but
those things that Gina read that hadn't been proven, they hadn't demonstrated, will those go back to will the local municipality have that?
so the municipality will receive the full report,
That
these
you
are the
wrote,
recommendations.
the full report that you wrote.
We can send them.
Is this wholly contained in Cortland, Bill?
Okay, yeah, this is right on property line, right on the town line.
City and town line.
Yeah.
Since it's asking for a variance right next to the city line, does the city have input on this then or no?
Yeah, but like if there's a box.
I don't know if they have a rule, I'll bring this up, I don't know if they have a rule about contacting local property owners when they do use variances in Cortland or not.
And if they do, it would be within the municipality.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
Like some.
Some of it does have a rule that if they're doing it,
Already, they have.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure they have that in their.
I think,
And it would apply no matter whether it's in your community or not.
So they would be.
I don't know if it's required, I don't care.
We noticed it in
You've
their,
got the answer.
You got it, you were contacted? Okay. all right.
Oh, okay. Are you
you're directly adjacent.
My part of the first 200 feet of my property is in the city, the last 100 feet is in South Portland.
Anything else, or do you want to
No,
call
I
the
would
question?
just like to
No.
question. Gina,
I'll call the question. All in favor of the staff's recommendations?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm abstaining. Do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is that carry or not?
None.
What's that? No, it's 1 against.
Okay.
6, 4, 1 against, I abstain.
If it opposes, then there's no way.
Probably want to keep for it. Six is, okay, 6 is sufficient, okay. All right, so motion carries.
I got one.
Oh,
Move back to the number 1.
yeah.
Okay, this application is in the city of Portland for use variance, area variances, and subdivision. The applicant seeks to have a lot line adjustment between two adjoining properties that this affects 30 South Avenue, 34, 31.5 South Avenue in the R2 district. The applicant is seeking to adjust a lot line. That's what something was before, to avoid confusion A and B. Lot A would gain 3,822 square feet from Lot B. Presently, Lot A is 4,050 square feet and contains one two-family dwelling. Lot B is 11,509 square feet and contains three two-family dwellings. Proposed lot line adjustment would result in Lot A becoming 7,872 square feet and gaining one two-family dwelling. Lot B becoming 7,687 square feet and ceding one of the two-family dwellings, keeping two two-family dwellings. Dwelling that's proposed to be included in the lot line is known as 30 and a half. City of Cortland code indicates that no more than one single-family dwelling or two-family dwelling may be permitted on a single lot. Three dwellings on lot B predate the zoning restriction. The requested lot line adjustment would create a non-conforming lot for dwellings for lot A. Therefore, applicants seeking use variance for lot A. Code also indicates that no such variance shall be granted without showing by the applicant that applicable zoning regulations and restrictions have caused unnecessary hardship. And these hardships would be the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return. Is unique.
It was the same as the other one we did with the use variances, correct?
Yes,
So we skip that part.
all right. And so the effects of this lot line adjustment would be that the lot line is going to bring lot A parcel lot size into conformity. Currently out. Minimum lot width is 50 feet. Lot A is currently non-conforming to 34 feet. This non-conformity would be maintained. And so the applicant is seeking area variance for lot width for lot A. Minimum front yard for single two-family residence is 50 feet. Lot A and lot B yards are currently non-conforming at 34 feet. This non-conformity would be maintained. Therefore, applicant is seeking an area variance for non-conforming front yard for both parcels. Minimum side yard for these type of residences is 25 feet. Lot A side yard is currently not conforming at 7.6, and lot B is currently not conforming at 6 feet. These non-conformities will be maintained. Minimum rear yard for such dwellings is 25 feet. Lot A rear yard is currently not conforming at 15 feet. Non-conformity would increase to 0 feet with this lot line adjustment. Lot B rear yard is currently non-conforming to 7 feet. Therefore, applicant is seeking an area variance for non-conforming rear yard. Maximum lot coverage for this, such parcels, 60%. Both lots are currently non-conforming, and this non-conformity would be maintained if this is approved. The next one, on every lot in a residential district, there should be a 4-foot vegetative strip along all required side rear yards, at which strip of fence may be erected. Both lots are non-conforming in this respect, and the non-conformity would be maintained. Code 384 is off-street parking and loading requirements, design standards. None of the design standards in this section have been met on either one of these parcels. Therefore, it is recommended that the city consider requiring the applicant to bring lot A and B into conformity with the City of Cortland option, which also includes landscaping and screening. Because this is kind of complicated, I made a little chart for you there. Finally, this proposal is considered at 2 action on the seeker, and therefore does not require completion of the environmental. Staff recommends approval of this application for use variance, area variances, and lot line adjustment only under the following conditions: that the city determine whether the applicant has effectively proven unnecessary hardship for use variance; that if the city determines the unnecessary hardship for use variance has effectively proven by the applicant, the city consider the minimum variance necessary and adequate to address such hardship, at the same time preserving the character of the neighborhood and health, safety, and welfare of the community. The city consider requiring the applicant to bring lot A and lot B into conformity with the City of Cortland parking regulations and the compliance with secret.
I have a motion. Maybe. Second?
I'll second it.
I will make a couple comments first, personally, and I've made these comments before. First, I'm not sure if this is a use variance. It might be an area variance where you have 2 buildings in one or not. I don't know that. I'm not aware, or it isn't defined well in the ordinance. It may not be a use variance. It may just be an area variance. 2 houses on one. I don't know. So that would be something for someone else to determine, not me. If Roy wants it that way, I understand, so he can call that. But I could see that being a battle with a lawyer if they wanted to fight it. Okay. All right, so that's one item. The other item I have is that it's the same as some of the others where you're asking for area variances or bulk variances for things that are pre-existing. And I don't think those are appropriate or necessary. In this case, he is changing the lot lines. So I don't see a problem in getting them, right? Because there's a lot of, but like the front yard, I don't think it's non-conforming. Because front yard, if you read the ordinance, has exceptions for being, if it matches the ones on the street, it's conforming. So to have to be variant for that is incorrect. So those are some of the comments I have. Beyond that, I don't mind doing what you gotta do. The only thing I would ask Roy, why is he doing this? It's a separate or something, or?
He's doing it because apparently he's trying to refinance and the bank won't, I don't understand it either, the bank won't refinance that 34 and a half, 30 and a half South Ave with three structures on it.
This is not one like he was asking me about one down the street where he's gonna sell it. This is something different.
Oh, he's gonna sell it.
He is gonna sell it.
The bank for the new buyer won't finance that three-structure property, or whatever, so he wants to cut off that.
And one other question I do have is that the center building is not part of either one of those lots?
No,
It's got something else on that, it's not ownership.
That's 32 Southware.
That's the same ownership or different? No idea, okay. All right. That's all I have.
That's going to be part of either one of those lots when it's done?
No, it's
Oh,
it'll be 32.
okay. Oh, wow.
Roy, does the ordinance say only one building on a parcel?
There's only one, so it says it's in chapter 1 of the zoning code, it says prohibited use. You're not allowed to have two singles or two families on
Okay.
the same parcel.
Okay.
But the thing is, I believe two-family dwellings are permitted in that district.
But not
These are all two-family dwellings. Well, it doesn't restrict them when it talks about uses permitted and uses not permitted. I don't know if that's an area variance or a use variance. That's the thing I don't know. That's where it'd be
Oh, I
a gray
see.
area. There'd be a lawyer
Use and-
fight if you want to get in
Right,
there.
I see, I see. where you're
I'm
going.
going with what they have on it though.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it. All
We,
right. Others, comments, questions?
I do agree with you, the front yard, but let's see, the side yards, yes, they're changing all that.
Well, I think because he's changing the lot lines, it's gray area, so I don't want to.
Yeah, I know, I understand it, it's just,
If he's planning to sell them, he's gonna need them or something, that people might appreciate it more.
yeah. So it's a matter of whether it's a use or not for the two buildings, yeah, I get it, I understand. It's the city's issue.
Anybody else have comments or questions? All in favor of staff's recommendations?
Aye.
Opposed?
A lot of I know the funding for underfunded. It's been behind stuff.
Give this to someone.
Let's look, we gotta look at a property that we felt comfortable.
okay.
Ready to.
Next, we have the town of Hartford, redoing the moratorium on the development, construction of wind energy compression systems and meter electric towers. So as a little background, the town first instituted such a moratorium on November 7th, 2022. County Planning Department reviewed it on November 10th, 2022. Planning Board approved it without conditions on November 16th, 2022. After this, the moratorium expired in May of 2023, and another proposed law was brought before the planning board and reviewed, was received by the planning department on June 6th, 2023, Report was prepared dated July 14, 2023. Local law was reviewed by County Planning Board on July 19, 2023. It was noted in this report that the previous moratorium had already expired. County Planning Board approved the second application without conditions, a resolution on July 19, 2023. No information is available on whether the second law was enacted. It is not available on the Department of State local law webpage, so not able to find it. Town of Hartford is proposing in local law renewing a moratorium on the development and construction of wind energy conversion systems and meteorological towers for an additional 6 months. The proposed new law consists of the same 11 sections as the previous 2 proposed laws on wind energy. The text of the 2022-2023 local laws are virtually identical to the text of the newly proposed local law, except that the 22 law says a reasonable period of time. The proposed local law 23 says a reasonable period of time to further study, and the one in front of us now says an additional reasonable period of time. I've attached both of those reports that we've done on this property. Finally, this proposal is considered a type 2 action of the seeker, option moratorium, and therefore does not require environmental assessment form. Staff recommends approval of this application for a local law for the purpose of renewing moratorium, development and construction of wind energy conversion systems and meteorological towers.
I'll entertain a motion. Second. Second by Jan.
How many times can they ask? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead. There you go. I know what you're gonna say, but go ahead.
What's the limit? I mean, can they continually ask every 6 months and then it never expires? I was of the impression you could only ask for that extension once, but I might be wrong.
Under the state guidance, there's been decisions made where guys just can't keep doing that. But that'd be a lawsuit type thing. It's not a law against it. They can do it as much as they want. But if somebody wanted to put a wind tower and had been trying to get an application, they kept extending it, they would lose in court of law probably. If they don't have a good reason for it. If they are working towards passing a law, I guess, and showing good effort, it might pass. But it's strictly a lawyer court thing. If nobody's suing them, they're probably fine to keep doing it.
Gina had actually reached out to their attorney and asked, you know, have you guys been making proactive, like, have you been making progress on creating this law so that we could state
Right.
that, you know, and we were basically told that it was none of our business.
Wow.
So the point is this, in other words, if they do this, if somebody's finding out,
We were trying
Yeah.
to help them to
Right.
stay out of hot water.
well, what would happen if somebody had an application and wanted to build something and they're talking?
It's gonna take an
They're
action.
prohibiting, and they keep extending it, they would finally sue them, and they would probably win the lawsuit. Yeah, just,
Well, but originally, their issue isn't with the solar or wind sites themselves, so much as the road construction and road
But they
maintenance.
have the road
to and
preservation.
well, but they just gotta act
Last year.
on something.
Yeah, so
Good for them.
again, it's up to them.
It is up to them, so we're, and it's not us to say yes or no on that one personally.
No, I-
Gotta get some
No,
rules.
I understand.
They can get themselves in
No,
hot
I
water.
My
understand.
TOS contact I spoke with said that 3 to 6 months is usually considered a reasonable time for a moratorium.
Right.
And then if you want to.
Extend it to a year. Typically, 6 months is reasonable, and a year if you want to extend it. When you keep going beyond that, I think somebody lost where they went, they gave them, okay, we'll give you another 90 days to get an order. If not, then
So like Tricia said, it's up to the applicant to have an issue with it, right? Yeah. Okay.
Can we,
Yeah.
use it as after?
They'll probably do something before the state straightens out their cameras roll up.
What did you say?
They'll act quicker than the state with their
Oh, yeah.
cameras roll up.
Oh, yeah.
any other comments or questions or changes you want to say?
No.
All in favor?
I.
Opposed? You're for, right? Okay. All right, motion carried, unanimous. Before we start on the next one, there's an awful lot of information. Now, you're not gonna read the whole thing, are you?
Tell me how you want me to.
I don't know, because, put it this way, we would have to put in like 2 years studying this to figure it out ourselves. We want to follow.
I just have
Can you
a,
give us like the crux of it without going to every little detail?
yeah, I got a couple.
But before, we haven't done it yet,
No,
but
go ahead.
if I run her really hard before, it's an awful long
Yeah, it's
thing.
terrible.
Where's Fran? He was here a little while ago.
He was, he asked, but Fran's not representing the town with this,
The village.
or the village, the village with this.
It's a massive undertaking
Yeah.
that they're trying to
I
do.
think that the first report, kind of put some context of what they're doing and why they're doing it. But I think it's important to note that this isn't like a full revamp because their zoning regulations are so ancient, they
Okay.
recognize that. But it would have been a lot to bite off.
Yep.
But their main purpose was to get this codified, they're using e-codes as they
They're trying to get it on.
and get it online.
Oh,
But in order to do that, they needed to like put it into a text format that it would work for e-codes. So I think, so that was their main initiative, and then they plan on continuing the zoning text amendments after they get through this really big process that they started pre-COVID. So just so everybody else is
There's a lot more than zoning, they're changing their whole code,
their
correct?
entire everything.
And a lot of these laws that we're
Yeah.
reviewing today are not just zoning,
Yeah.
they're lots and lots of things.
So when Gina went through it, she literally was closed up in an office, like in a private office far away, just honing in on this. And they even gave us a little extra time because she was also performing a level of review of details because then EN and then AN make a really big difference. And thankfully, so we had met with Dan Egner, who's the clerk for the village, and Pat Clune, and their community, like they're working as a really close network on this. We met and Gina provided them this list, plus probably 40 more, a much longer list
Yeah.
of more grammatical errors that really change. So they have that document, but we felt like that was just too much. So in the report, the final report that was sent to you guys was just more of the context items to be remaining. So if you're not, this is not the last revision of their zoning.
We have to do this 2 or 3 more times with it.
Most likely, but hopefully it'll just be smaller sections at a time.
So they'll come back with zoning. My comments were in zoning, but they'll come back with that.
Yes.
Is there
There's
inconsistencies?
a lot,
There's a lot.
yeah. And a lot of those things, especially, like naming designations and then referring to things were inconsistent with that. Gina had noted.
Are there 2 of you?
Yeah, we win, right?
I mean, I guess what I would do then, rather than reading the entire thing,
Yeah.
like both of you, on a lot of little things to go
Yeah.
through, give over your recommendations for the, it's not recommended,
For the
actually.
Okay.
That I would like you to do, so we don't have to spend, read all the reasons why. There's a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, it's still long, but just. Okay, so first for chapter 79, section 79, the word then twice appears, or should be then. Effective date is a date in the past, that should be a future date. Number 3, minor subdivisions be listed within the article title, or that the village consider adding the word structure to definition. When I mean that specific subsection be cited when referring to Article 16 of the town law of the state of New York. I was told by that by DOS, if you're citing the 16, you have to give the exact. Let the village consider adding the word shoulder to definitions. When I gave the village consider developing a sidewalk program to aid in identifying locations that may be referenced for subdivision app. 8, there was just some word salad in there that I tried to straighten out. 9, village consider whether one of the take black line off print and transparent linen print. Used in this section are terminology and print usage. There are practical requirements for subdivision applicants. When I need the village consider whether gas and electric should be included under the utilities subsection. The village consider soliciting input from the county soil and water district and the Department of Environmental Conservation for the recommendations regarding water and sewers. Chapter 221, this section specifies a portion of the service pipe that the owners of the premises shall be responsible. 228, there was some inconsistency with problem with signs. There were various places in the document that had referenced signs, but so I recommend that they all be put in the signs section. Where local rules of reference, text review rates to conform with New York State executive law. The text include the phrase contingent upon Cortland County Health Department approval, 228. Village should consider making rear yard minimum distances and consistent, because there's two places here that are consistent. Section 228.14, you be located as another sign issue. Enumerates sign by district. This section says it enumerates sign by districts, but it actually doesn't. So just actually put that in there. Article 4, be deleted and article sections and references be numbered from this point. That is because Article 4 is identical to Article 5A. And so that we're going through and renumbering now all of the references. There's a number floating in 228, number 4096. It doesn't say whether it's a percentage or a absolute number or whatever. I suspect that 50% at 6.9.
Supposed to be that, you pointed the wrong thing in. Okay.
Yeah.
Typo.
That the village consider adding word junk to definitions. The village consider adding the phrase animal harboring to definitions. That regarding 228, the location of the memorandum and diagram to be verified, they refer to as being in two different places. And there's another area that's very confusing, 228.64. We figured applicants would have a hard time understanding that. We recommended you for clarity. As far as decommissioning for solar projects, we recommend to indicate who has the financial responsibility for the decommissioning. And then 26, whether it's preferable that the financial burden would be fixed on the operator rather than the property owner, who may in fact be someone renting out premises, such as the village or the county. 2, and if the lien is preferred, whether the lien would sufficiently cover all decommissioning costs. That 228 responsibility being explicitly indicated as being on the most recent operator for decommissioning. They're regarding a reference that appears, the reference doesn't exist, change that reference, and then include a definition of sensitive areas. Under sensitive areas, it has a list of types of sensitive areas, but it doesn't actually have a definition. And then compliance with secret requirements.
I have a motion.
Yeah.
Was for one to say the three at once.
Let's find
Okay,
about
Paul and Francis, you're on that.
You should go in a room and decide who.
Yeah.
Who among us made the most.
So we'll come back to zoning later. There's some, as parts of their zoning, they talk about the New York State Building Code. It's not called that anymore. It's the New York State Fire Prevention Building Code. So there's some inconsistencies there.
I think that that's big enough that we should add a recommendation.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of
New York State
stuff
Fire
in there.
Prevention Building Code. Because one section it says the New York State Building Code, and that's gone, now it's the New York State Fire Prevention Building Code. And then one of the, under, what, the animal harboring, is that under zoning or is it under? Because home occupation, they referred to as 30%, and the state changed that to residential code, it's 15%. I mean, those are just things under zoning, but they still have it as 30% of the property.
There's a lot more to that in there.
There's more than
It should be
that,
corrected.
but that,
Like mobile homes don't exist anymore.
no, it's not, but she's
They're
clarifying that.
manufactured
She's
housing and
clarifying
stuff like that.
So, and everything I mentioned is under the zoning code, but whatever. Yeah, it'll come back. I mean, they just need to be, they need to be consistent with that definition.
I think that the
New York State,
state building code, we should, or like
They
add
put the name,
recommendations
whatever.
yeah.
to add that.
It refers to them in two different parts of different, and it's been changed. Okay.
I think I mentioned to you in an email about water and sewer ordinance changing and how they have criteria for what they can deposit or what they can discharge into their sewers. And I wasn't sure if they had contacted the city of Cortland sewage treatment plant, because they're the ones who actually set the rules on what can be discharged that the treatment plant can accept. But I don't want Homer making a set of rules that may don't match what the city of Cortland requirements are.
Would you mind how do you feel about making a motion to add that
to the recommendation specifically.
Yeah, you have a section on the sewer and water, right?
Yeah, so
I think the water, I don't have anything comment on, but the sewer, they definitely should contact the city of Cortland sewage treatment plant to confirm what they're saying is allowable and isn't, is allowed by
Yeah.
the permit of the city of Cortland. Like, the city of Cortland dictates what's allowed by their permit, okay?
I feel like that, those items are definitely large enough that you like to.
Absolutely, they have to at least add it to the section on the water and sewer section. And is there any other?
Well,
I guess was there.
it's a whole lot of.
I didn't read the whole thing. so-
I didn't do that. I read the zoning. That's nice. But
And so it's regarding the sewer, I assume having, anything on that as far as what they can discharge, not how they connect or anything like that, what they're allowed to put in. I think they've also defined what the industrial permit or use what, that's also defined by the permitting city of Portland. I don't think Homer can make that decision.
you want to make some motions, to make those amendments?
I will make a motion that anything regarding the, water and sewer ordinance that refers to restrictions on how, what they put in, has to be discussed with the city of Portland sewage treatment plant, or city of Portland in general, something like that.
You want to make that an official?
Well, is
I
the
made that
zoning,
motion.
zoning is coming back again?
That's right.
They're redoing, but
That's
just.
not zoning, that's,
It's just consistency, it's, that it needs to say in their zoning regulation, New York State Fire Prevention and Building Code, whenever they mention it. Because some spots they mention New York State Building Code, it's not that anymore, it's the New York State. So just that they're consistent with that wording. And zoning, that would came up in zoning.
so do we have to make motions for separate changes? I don't want to word that.
I think they can make a motion for both those.
Yeah, that's fine.
Any
And I'll
more-
second it.
all in favor of those changes? And there's a lot more in that ordinance that we should just started 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, or 40 years
Oh,
ago.
God, yeah.
I have the books to, 1969 is the book.
As a question, you may know, is their current agreement just a contractual agreement?
I don't even know anymore.
Well,
I mean, it's been a long time since I've been out of it, so I don't know what they're, all I know is they have requirements of what's allowed to be discharged.
and it's ever
Those
changing.
have all changed, the new permits, and
Right,
I don't want to throw in stuff in the ordinance and have them find out that it doesn't comply.
well, yeah, with the city, I mean.
Well, the city has
they have really
restrictions on their
Cortland bill with
discharge, right, but they,
our-
I think both Portland and this
Good time.
Homer have to do that, I
It
think,
must just be contractual.
probably, but. But it may be unnecessary to have anything in there at all. All you really have to say is comply with the discharge regulations.
Right.
So sometimes you have too many people writing regulations, the same thing, it gets kind of overkill.
Because as they change, that's included.
This is written, I think, before, first year they actually started doing sewers in the, Village of Homer.
Yeah.
All
Before.
right.
Wow.
Well, 69 is about the year they started. All the plants and all the extensions were done about that time. Okay. Then, all in favor of the staff recommendations as amended?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, I don't know how you can go through that.
Yeah, thank you for doing all of that. Oh, my
You'd
God.
be commended, Jen.
I mean, it was to just kind of stand.
There were some, general changes, so I just looked, they gave me some general changes, and then they gave me the 4 new chapters.
Who are they working with to modify their codes? Like, are you with somebody like a professional group to work with? To do?
Codes.
But he codes is just, they just want to get it online. They don't recommend how to word it. They just go with what you have, I
You
think.
mean with regulations, who they working with the regulations?
I mean, basically, but they take typically the cities or Cortland bills, it just reads what their printed copy is. You
Yeah,
know,
we should get some legal help involved.
it'd be nice if they did. All right, and I'm back on Carter, which I didn't want to comment on. since I
Yeah,
was-
well, let's.
There's no reason why you.
Yeah, sure, me first, then you can comment, right?
What's that?
adjourn the meeting and then you can
You
comment?
can comment.
Oh, I was to make it official, I'm not,
Oh, okay.
I'm saying in general, if you want to change your recommendations from,
Oh,
you know, recommended approval to recommended denial, we've done that before.
We've done
If you
that.
feel start heavy duty enough about it, you can do that.
the problem in the past when we've done that, it just goes back as a denial with no reasons. And then, and that's
I
not good,
understand.
and that's not good either.
So, and
But I think you were correct in your comment on that, that when we say recommend approval with conditions, a lot of boards just go along, oh, they count it as fine.
Yeah.
I've had the complicated meetings without even the council is
Well, they approve it, yeah.
So, and just for clarification, under general municipal law, this board, we really have, county planning has 4 different avenues that we can go down. Approval, which is the county approval that finds the project will not create any major intermunicipal or countywide impacts to the items identified in 239. Modification, also known as approval with conditions, which is pretty much the majority of what we see here. Then disapproval, where the project is in stark contrast to established county policy and or may have major intermunicipal and countywide impacts on one or more of the items that are listed further down in GML 39.
So it doesn't really need that.
And then, of course, in any binding recommendations requires supermajority to take contrary action. We speak for the local municipalities. So, and then local determination, which is our return letters.
Yeah.
But if you felt it did have impact, countywide impact, like, let's say if it is affecting Cortland, it's just Cortland's decision, you may want to say, well, or something.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
I know in the past we've done that and it goes back to denial with no reason.
People,
Right, and then it's up, then the municipality who really doesn't have all this.
I know Dan down there right shed hole, but we get a say in the matter.
was that place before? Was it a?
Go to the meeting, go to
It was,
Well, years ago, Cornfield.
yeah, it was farmland.
Go to the meetings.
Well, I mean, it wasn't true. So you just started with this stuff.
He bought
We started up on,
How they were willing to do that?
He used to keep his stuff up at his house,
he was out on 281, then he was on, down on
Up at his
401.
house.
We run out of his house?
But he didn't like it near his house, so he put it down where.
No, that's.
Of course
All
not.
right, okay.
So,
Of course not.
so again, just for my own clarity, we really would never deny anything unless it had intermunicipality.
Typically, we had more bigger impact, our neighboring.
And then other than that, we're just like pointing out
Let's do
things.
this. Let's say it wasn't doing sewage or stormwater control, it was
Right.
flooding in the city, and we felt it would, then we recommend denial until they came up with some way of avoiding that. You know, that kind of stuff. If you felt it would have an impact that way, he wasn't doing anything about it. That's my opinion, that's personal, but, or traffic.
Thank you.
Let's say it affected traffic at a major, that's a major route. And if it would interrupt people going to Bergeron.
I don't know, it's like living.
We probably should, I would ask for a adjournment now, I'm getting
Seems like
carried away. But you can do those things, Lee. I mean, there's no reason why you can't make change if you want.
Okay.
I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, there's no reason why we can't change it to denial if we feel it.